Looking at the divorce papers handed to him, Robert burst into laughter. Sounds great. I'll grant you the divorce. With no income, you'll come crawling back to me in no time. Haha. Who's the one without a source of income now, huh? My knave husband believes I'm leaving him without a plan. Little does he know about the trap I've laid out. I'm Emma. I've lived with my husband Robert amidst his mother and 2 older sisters. Robert has always had that youngest sibling charm, accustomed to being pampered. As the eldest child myself, I'm used to taking charge. At work, I'm respected as a leader, while Robert, my same age, increasingly leans on me. Emma, my computer froze. Oh no, did you save your work? I forgot. Seriously, let me help you redo it. Hand me your hard copies. Our dynamic duo with me supporting the ever-errant Robert became well known around the office. Over time, Robert started confiding in me about personal matters, and our time together after work grew. As the nurturing elder sister type, I didn't mind being his pillar of support. One day, Robert asked me out. I thought, why not continue like this? So, I agreed and we started dating. Robert was thrilled to publicly acknowledge our relationship, and the company gave their blessing. Our dating continued until we married. After we exchanged vows, I chose to step back from my career to be a supportive wife. As someone who tends to overwork, I also welcomed the break. I figured dedicating myself to my husband post-marriage wouldn't hurt. Several years passed, and Robert steadily ascended the corporate ladder. One day, a close colleague invited me out for drinks. As we caught up happily, my colleague, visibly relieved, remarked, "It's good to see you haven't changed, Emma." Huh? Why? Well, from what Robert's been saying, you know. Robert's colleagues exchanged glances. Hey, what has Robert been saying about me? We've heard that Emma isn't very good at managing household chores and that Robert supports you in everything. No, that's not true. It is. He often says, I'm the breadwinner. Emma wouldn't survive without me. Yeah, we were surprised too. Our Emma, really? It seems Emma helping him at work was just Robert's way of making it seem that way. According to Robert, he's actually more competent at work. He even mentioned that Emma quit her job due to feelings of inadequacy. Their words left me truly shocked. Robert, who had been spoiled by his mother and sisters until we married, couldn't boil water, let alone handle household chores like cleaning, laundry, or daily cooking. I took care of everything at home, yet he's been spreading completely false stories to everyone. Not only that, he's been circulating absurd rumors about why I became a full-time housewife, claiming he's better at work, and that made me feel inadequate, so I quit. It's absurd. Why would he spread such lies? I was so shaken that I left the party early. As soon as I got home, I confronted him. Robert, are you bad-mouthing me at work? Stop it. Robert responded casually. It just came up in conversation. Wouldn't you be proud if people thought your husband was capable? You haven't said anything you shouldn't have you? I haven't said anything. Actually, I was too shocked today to respond properly. I'll set things straight from now on. Don't get worked up over something trivial. You're being childish. Haha. Stop stressing, Robert says, but it's not pleasant to hear gossip behind your back. Robert doesn't seem to understand, but if I clearly tell him to stop, he might not spread such rumors again. However, I later discovered my hope was naive. According to a colleague, the situation seemed to worsen. Since then, Robert has intensified his efforts to portray me as an incompetent housewife, perhaps to prevent me from exposing his falsehoods. He spread even more damaging rumors about me, insisting I'm a lazy wife who neglects household duties while loudly boasting about supporting me financially. Can you elaborate on this? I called my colleagues to get more details. Well, after that, Robert started bad-mouthing you to our boss as well. Even to the boss. Robert claimed you were so embarrassed that you begged him, please keep our private life out of the office. You never said that, did you, Emma? Of course not. I vehemently denied it. He seemed to anticipate that whatever I might tell our colleagues would only sound like an excuse. I told everyone the truth, that I manage all the household chores and Robert can't handle anything at home. Besides, he often seeks my advice when he faces work challenges. When he admitted he didn't know how to prepare a proposal, I even helped him draft documents. Afterward, he left everything to me because it was quicker if I did it all. As I expected, my former colleagues, who knew me well, immediately believed me. Reluctantly, they continued. I debated whether to share this with you, Emma. According to them, Since his promotion, Robert has been using his position to invite young women from work to dinners. There's one in particular he seems to favor, and she doesn't seem to mind. Lately, they've been seen together late at night quite often. Actually, I've seen it myself, Robert arm in arm with her having an intimate dinner at a restaurant. Indeed, Robert had been returning home late at night frequently lately, citing overtime work. He'd even leave early on weekends, claiming business trips. I see, thank you for letting me know. Then it all became clear. Robert wasn't just undermining me at the office, he was also cheating on me. Not only was he spreading rumors about me, but he was also seeing another woman in secret. I can't forgive him. I can no longer bring myself to support such a person. I kept my anger and determination to myself and chose to maintain the facade of our normal life. Unaware of everything, he continued to seek my guidance on work matters as usual. Hey Emma, the progress on our next project isn't looking good. If this fails, it could be detrimental to the company. Where do you think we need to adjust our schedule? Oh, and by the way, we need an urgent proposal ready by tomorrow. I'm tied up with something else. Despite his circumstances, I calmly advised him and prepared the proposal. During this period, Robert frequently worked late, citing, "I have to stay back," and often didn't return home until morning. It was only after completing the project preparations that I handed him the divorce papers. I can't continue like this with you. Let's end things, I said firmly. Upon hearing this, Robert burst into laughter. Divorce? What can you do without any income? I'll find work, but who would hire you after years of being a stay-at-home wife? Best you could hope for is a part-time job for some extra cash. Still, I no longer want to be with someone as unfaithful as you. I can't stand it. When I mentioned his infidelity, he was taken aback and raised his voice. What? An affair? You're just imagining things, aren't you? Do you have any proof? I stayed silent, and Robert left with a sense of triumph. You're jumping to conclusions without any proof. Since you're the one who brought up the divorce, you should be the one to leave this house. With that, he forcefully took the divorce papers and expelled me from our home. However, I had already prepared my bags to leave. I picked them up and walked out. As I left, I heard Robert's mocking words, "You, with no place to stay, will be back soon enough. They'll come begging later." Yet it was Robert who came begging the next day. Emma, what's going on? The document you gave me the other day was a mess. The schedule I revised based on your suggestions had so many gaps. Even after discovering his infidelity, I continued to create documents for him, but with a twist in their content. I directed him to develop schedules based on impractical assumptions and intentionally made flawed suggestions for his proposals. The result was a chaotic mix of poorly planned schedules and flawed proposals, which Robert blindly submitted without review. Predictably, the project ended in a disastrous failure, causing Robert's reputation within the company to plummet. With trust eroded, Robert was demoted. Dissatisfied with his new role, he blamed his wife, claiming she had influenced his decisions. This defense backfired, further damaging Robert's standing. The company viewed his dependence on his wife for business decisions as a serious issue, overshadowing the project's failure itself. I noticed a significant improvement in your work efficiency after your marriage. Have you been consulting your wife all along? Like this incident? No, this was the only time my wife assisted me. Robert realized there was no use defending himself anymore. His incompetence, his reliance on others for everything, had become apparent to his boss. He tried to contact me multiple times afterward, but I ignored all of his attempts because they were simply bothersome. Then one day, a lawyer claiming to represent him visited me. Robert says you're always welcome to return. Even now Robert believes I might come back, and you're welcome to return? How arrogant and absurd. Please convey to Robert that I have no intention of returning. If he's concerned about my well-being, he shouldn't be. I'm prepared to build a new life for myself. I believe it's Robert who's struggling without any income now, I remarked as I dismissed the lawyer. A few days later, my former boss contacted me upon learning that all of Robert's recent work had actually been my own achievement. Emma, would you consider returning to us? Return? But I've been out of the workforce for some time now. You haven't been out of work at all. You've been handling your husband's responsibilities all along. I understand if working in the same place as your ex-husband might be uncomfortable. Following this, my boss negotiated with higher management to ensure Robert and I wouldn't be in the same department. A few days later, he called me again. Emma, you don't need to worry about anything anymore. It turned out that Robert was the one who got transferred, not me. Since the incident, he had been viewed as a liability, and there were already discussions about moving him. He was considered unsuitable for such a critical department in the company. A week after I turned away the lawyer, Robert called me. Emma, please help me. They've transferred me. It seems they informed him, but I haven't heard anything. Where to? In response to my question, he exclaimed, to some remote place I've never even heard of. A department where I won't handle any crucial tasks for the company. There's no chance of promotion. It feels like I've been banished. Well, isn't this situation perfect for you? You can't make decisions independently. You delegate everything without checking, and there's no way they'd place someone like you in a critical role. We've been a team up until now. From now on, continue supporting me. You're the one who made me lose my will to support you. If you hadn't betrayed me, I would have continued backing you behind the scenes. I did betray you. It wasn't serious with her. Whether it was serious or not doesn't matter. What I can't forgive is that you deceived me. Once trust is lost, it's irreparable. Please don't leave me. I can't live without you. At this point, Robert's words failed to sway me. That may be true. I can't imagine you, unable to manage your work or the household, surviving alone. You've always relied on others, and now it's catching up with you. What happened to the reliable Emma who always used to support me? The moment you cheated, lied to your colleagues, pretended to be competent at work, and fooled around with female coworkers behind my back, you lost that support. You brought this upon yourself. I hung up on Robert in the heat of the moment and blocked his number. There was no satisfaction in being relied upon by him now. Afterward, I proceeded with the divorce. I made sure to secure appropriate alimony from both him and his mistress. Only a few trusted friends know my whereabouts since leaving the house. Blocking his calls spared me from Robert's harassment. Now, I occupy the position he once held, thanks to my familiarity with the department's operations gained through assisting him. Even after leaving, I kept informed and resumed working diligently as I did before marriage. Just as I was beginning to move on, Robert's mother and sister appeared. You must be Emma, right? They glared at me. You deceived my son and took his position. I never approved of you from the beginning, but I didn't realize you were this deceitful. Robert's habit of dishonesty hasn't changed, has it? My mother-in-law's accusation prompted my own mother to respond, her face flushing red. What did you just say? Are you accusing our Robert of lying? Now I see it clearly. It's because all of you unquestioningly believe everything Robert says that he's ended up like this. What do you mean by like this? Ask anyone at his workplace and you'll find out. Robert can't manage anything on his own. He's skilled only at being coddled and relying on others. He even expects people to cater to him. Facing my in-laws who were trying to pressure me, I remained composed as I spoke. And that's not all. Behind everyone's back, he slandered those who supported him and fabricated a persona of greatness. I didn't take Robert's position from him. Rather, his true colors were revealed, leading to his transfer. Even so, isn't it heartless for you, his wife, to abandon him? You should direct those words to Robert himself. While he was having an affair, he had me cover for him at work. Did he mention any of this to you? What? What are you talking about? Just as I suspected, he only tells you what suits him. That's typical of Robert, even now. By the way, if he has grievances, why doesn't Robert come here himself? Could it be because he doesn't want to face his colleagues after lying, cheating with a coworker, which all came to light, and getting transferred? I doubt he'd dare show his face now, would he? A fair transfer? What's that supposed to mean? I suggest you not take everything he says at face value. I'll take my leave now. Realizing the truth in my words, my in-laws left awkwardly and quietly. With Robert having played his final cards through his mother and sister, there's likely nothing more he can do. Whether he chooses to reflect on himself while living in a remote place or continues his old ways is no concern of mine. I'll simply focus on living my own life. I'm truly grateful to the boss who recognized my abilities and welcomed me back to the company. My family's leaving my niece with us. They think we should be happy about it. At the door are my husband's parents and his sister, with her 2-year-old daughter. They've been asking us to look after her since they got divorced half a year ago. Instead of easing off, they're insisting we take her, even though we're not in a position to raise someone else's child. But things are about to take a surprising turn with this little girl. I'm Kelly Allen, and I'm 27. I married John, who's 29 and was running a restaurant when we got married 3 years ago. We hoped to have kids, but it didn't happen. Luckily, Jan has been really kind to us, making our lives busy but fun. I've hardly seen John's family since we got married because he's not close to them. The gap between them got bigger when he opened his restaurant. His parents worked at a big family restaurant chain, and they wanted him to join too. But John had his own dreams. I want to make dishes that everyone will love, John explained. But instead of understanding him, his sister treated him like he was attacking their family's restaurant chain. Are you saying our food isn't good enough? John must have found it frustrating that she wouldn't listen. After endless arguments, John gave up trying to convince them. I'd rather keep my distance from Mom and Dad. Okay, I'll stay out of it too, I told him, and we enjoyed our peaceful days together. But everything changed when Jan divorced and moved back in with their parents 6 months ago. One weekday during lunch rush, Jan burst into the restaurant. I'm here again. It's so quiet in here, she loudly announced, bringing her mother and her 2-year-old niece. They sat down without hesitation. You're back. Remember to keep it down, John reminded her. Always complaining. Anyway, I'll have the usual and make it quick. Jane never pays when she visits, and we were getting tired of it. I signaled to John that I'd handle it and stepped in front of Jan. There are other customers waiting, so if you're dining here, you'll need to pay like everyone else. What? You're actually charging family? How low can you get? Jan's outburst drew the attention of everyone in the restaurant. Please lower your voice, it's disturbing others, I politely requested, but she ignored me. This is all your fault. John's changed because of you. Her harsh words froze the atmosphere. My husband, stopping his cooking, emerged from the kitchen. If you're here to cause trouble, please leave. We can discuss any issues later. We'll address any concerns you have, so please stop causing a scene. But Jan continued to complain, ignoring both me and my husband. Even her mother, instead of reprimanding her, just urged her to hurry up and order. Seeing that we couldn't defuse the situation, we served them lunch. They left without paying, acting as if it was normal. But it didn't end there. Jan became even more demanding. You're looking after Riker today too. Every day, she declared, dropping off her daughter at our shop. But we're working. It's your job as a mom to take care of her, I protested. I'm busy. Since there are hardly any customers, you might as well help me out, Jan insisted, pushing her daughter's care onto us. To her, we were just free babysitters. To fully unload her responsibilities, Jan and her mother started visiting our restaurant frequently. I'm sorry about my family. I didn't mean to cause trouble for you or the restaurant, Kelly, John S. apologized after they left Riker behind and left. Our business wasn't booming, and their disruptions were part of the problem. Our regular customers, who preferred a peaceful atmosphere, stopped coming. It wasn't just about John anymore. Poor Riker was caught in the middle. Holding my niece close, I sighed deeply. We kept going despite the weight on our hearts. But a few weeks later, things took an unexpected turn with my in-laws. One evening, after closing the restaurant, Jan and my in-laws appeared at our doorstep. Instead of at the restaurant, they were at our house. When John and I opened the door, Jan abruptly handed Riker to us, looking bewildered. I'm leaving my child with you. Appreciate it. John and I were stunned, our eyes wide. What do you mean? I asked, though I suspected it was because we couldn't have kids. You're not busy since the restaurant is quiet, right? So you can be Riker's parents, she explained, deciding to completely abandon her niece. Even the grandparents didn't want to care for her. John's face flushed with anger at their callousness. This is too much. You're giving up on Riker. That's not right. I thought you guys, without kids, could handle her, Jan said, her tone tense. Riker, sensing the tension, nervously sucked her finger and looked down. But you don't have to worry about that. Take her back, I firmly replied. Kids need their moms. Even a 2-year-old knows that. You can't refuse. If there was a serious reason, maybe, but I can't agree to selfish excuses like it's too much trouble. I rejected her request firmly. We're busy with work, and honestly, I don't find a child with my ex-husband's blood cute at all. I said, shocked at my own words. That's something a parent should never say, especially not in front of Riker. It's unacceptable. My in-laws sided with her, sharing her views. Jan and her parents would only make this poor child suffer, they said. Realizing this, I held Riker close, feeling a strong sense of duty. I have to make this child happy. So are you really okay with Riker being our child? I asked Jan firmly. She smirked. Of course, and I'll sell you all her baby stuff and toys. I don't need them anymore, so you better buy everything, she said, her parents smirking behind her. Not only were they avoiding their responsibilities, but they also wanted to make money from us. They were beyond redemption, but if it meant cutting ties with them, it was a win for us. When I talked to John about it, he agreed. Yes, we'll buy everything you're selling, but in return, stay away from us, I told them firmly. Jan stepped closer, asserting, don't act so superior. You're just a daughter-in-law. I was going to sell them anyway. Just be prepared for a big bill. After using us to their advantage, Jan and her parents left in a hurry. True to her word, Jan sent a box of Riker's used toys and clothes, along with a hefty bill of $30,000. With the restaurant struggling and our finances stretched thin, I couldn't afford such extravagance for Riker. But I still had some savings from before I got married. No, this is too expensive. It shouldn't cost that much, I muttered nervously. Despite my concerns about depleting our savings, using items Riker was familiar with might provide her with comfort, right? As I anxiously waited for a response, as I watched my husband in silent contemplation, he finally agreed with me. You're right. Rhea would be happier with us than in her old home. Thank you, honey. Let's take care of this child together. And so, we ended up raising Rhea as our own daughter, alongside managing the restaurant. Without the in-laws around, our stress lessened, and both my husband and I cherished Rhea deeply. She was so sweet, and I felt inspired to do anything for her. But our lives weren't just about adding a new family member. What a busy day it's been. Indeed, who would have thought our restaurant would be so packed? At the end of a long day, my husband and I shared a laugh. Our once quiet restaurant was now booming thanks to a recent addition to the menu, an omelet that had unexpectedly gone viral on social media. What surprised us the most was how this idea came about. Who would have guessed it was Rhea's suggestion? As I affectionately patted her head, I recounted. While we were brainstorming new menu items, Rhea suddenly said omelette. It caught us off guard. Since we didn't offer omelettes at the time, I whipped up a special one loaded with eggs and topped it with our signature demi glace sauce. Following John's approach, we personalized each serving to suit our customers' tastes. It turned out to be a huge hit, and Rhea continued to lend a hand whenever I experimented with new dishes. She'd mumble names like Napoleon or pudding, and when John whipped up those dishes, they were a hit. Customers would exclaim, "This is exactly what I was craving," and happily dig in. With the old challenges of running the restaurant behind us, life became more exciting with Rhea around. I couldn't help but wonder if Rhea possessed some mysterious power. It seemed possible. The other day, when I couldn't find my glasses, Rhea was just staring behind a shelf. Lo and behold, there they were, tucked behind it. Wow, Rhea, that's incredible. Of course, it was all thanks to John's setup. When we praised them, Rhea and my husband would exchange happy smiles. They looked like they had always been a part of our family. Initially worried, I now felt confident about providing Rhea with a good life. Even in ordinary moments, I felt a profound sense of happiness. But then, something unbelievable caught my attention. What's this? Hey, come see this. John, glancing at his phone, exclaimed in surprise. Intrigued, I peered over to look at the screen, where a news article was displayed. The contents shocked me so much that my eyes widened. Can this really happen? Surprised, Rhea observed us, then grabbed a box of building blocks and slowly offered it to us. We shook it, hearing something inside. Is there something in here? I asked, meeting Rhea's serious gaze. If Rhea was this focused, there must be something important. We carefully examined the blocks and were stunned. An underlying anger began to simmer within me. To think she had hidden something like this. Unforgivable. Despite my anger, we knew we had to wait for the right moment. A few weeks later, in the dead of night, Jan and I were startled awake by the doorbell. Careful not to disturb Rhea, we cautiously opened the front door to find Jolie standing there with disheveled hair. Give me back my daughter, now. Her sudden demand left John and me exchanging looks. Weren't you the one who left her with us? What's changed now? Weren't we supposed to stay out of each other's lives? I challenged, but before we could shut the door, Jolie forcefully wedged her foot in, refusing to leave. She's my child. I'm here to take her back, she insisted. We explained it wasn't possible, but Jolie kept pushing to take her daughter, causing a scene. Frustrated by her selfishness, I sighed deeply and crossed my arms. Please don't take your frustrations out on us because of your work troubles, I said. Caught off guard, Jolie's face flushed red with embarrassment. What? How did you know about that? She stammered, clearly flustered. Recalling the recent news I had seen on John's phone, it was about a scandal at the chain restaurant where Jolie's family worked. They had been caught using expired ingredients to save money, leading to a widespread food poisoning incident. The backlash on media and social platforms had been severe, and the chain's reputation had taken a nosedive. Everything was fine until we gave up our daughter, and then this happened. It must be because she's gone, I mused. Jolie, clearly facing severe consequences, erupted in anger. What are you talking about? Rare has nothing to do with this. No, she's not involved, I assured her. Since then, everything had been going downhill. According to Jolie, their troubles didn't end there. Her mother lost a wallet containing a large sum of money, and her father was involved in a car accident that cost $6,000 in damages. Jolie blamed Rare for their misfortunes. Since you took Rare, your restaurant has been thriving. It's hard not to think she's involved. Her words left John and me speechless. While we couldn't blame Rare for all their misfortunes, we couldn't deny the strange coincidence. Maybe I should help them a bit. Despite their actions, it's hard to watch them suffer, I pondered aloud. But before I could say more, Jolie raised her voice sharply. With that child, we would be secure, and all this misfortune would come your way instead. Her words extinguished any sympathy I had. We will never give Rare back to you. It's only been a few months, but we've grown to love her as if she were our own. We can't hand her over to someone who only wants her back for their own gain, I declared, glaring at Jolie with a firm expression. Don't speak to my wife like that. Your greed is apparent. I care for Rare far more than you ever did. I won't let her go, no matter what. Please, leave, John added, his tone resolute. I couldn't forgive Jolie for treating her own daughter like a commodity, something to exploit. Our restaurant's success was due to John's meticulous attention to detail, seasoning and presenting each dish according to our customers' preferences. He had utilized hints from Rare to cater to individual tastes, offering rich flavors, light options, or a touch of spice. His creative plating, including edible flowers for Instagram-worthy dishes and generous portions for hearty appetites, had become a hit. While Rare had contributed to our success, it was John's dedication that truly made a difference. She's not a cash cow to be returned, I retorted with disdain. Jolie's face twisted with resentment as Jayan looked at her with pity. No matter how much you protest, my decision won't change. I don't want to see you again, Jayan stated firmly. With calm resolve, I handed Jolie a flash drive that she hadn't noticed before. Our misfortunes aren't because of Rare, but a consequence of actions like yours, right? Jolie's face paled as she recognized the drive. That's the one my parents and I have been searching for. How did you get it? It came out of the toys, I replied calmly. It might actually be worth what you paid for it, I remarked. The flash drive had been inside the box Rare handed to us, and considering her mysterious abilities, I believed there was a reason she had handled it. To our surprise, the drive contained data from a secret ledger, revealing receipts from suppliers and evidence of inflated charges. Rare's parents, former executives at the company, had been embezzling funds by overcharging for ingredients and pocketing the excess. The calculation showed embezzled funds totaling about $2 million. Rare had sensed something was wrong and hid the drive, along with some blocks. I can't believe we missed it even after searching the house, Jolie muttered in disbelief. She snatched the flash drive from my hand, looking relieved. I've already informed your company, she declared confidently. But as the reality of her actions sank in, she began to tremble. No, if they find out about the embezzlement, our lives are over, she confessed, her bravado crumbling. Begging for forgiveness, she pleaded with us to help cover up her crimes. But her past actions couldn't be erased. My husband, firm in his resolve, advised against forgiveness. There's nothing more we can do but face reality, he muttered. As Jolie dialed the phone with trembling hands, tears streaking her face, I listened to her conversation with my in-laws. It was a bitter reckoning for them all. They screamed in shock and then asked to speak with me. As soon as I took the phone, my in-laws pleaded, Please, you have to do something. We're begging you. I listened in silence, but after a moment, I took a deep breath. You must face the consequences of your own actions. Goodbye. With that, I ended the call and returned the smartphone to Jolie. Think about it carefully. If you truly want to raise Rare, I'll consider it. Is that what you really want? I doubt we'll ever see eye to eye, no matter how much we talk. Please leave. Your presence is unwelcome. If you don't, I'll have to involve the authorities. Jolie flinched and backed away, so I firmly shut the door without mercy. Peeking from the second-floor window, I watched as she walked away, her figure fading into the distance. That was the end of our connection. Later on, my in-laws and Jolie were dismissed from the company for their embezzlement. They were sued and eventually arrested. After serving their sentences, they would have to repay the $2 million they stole. Even after their release, they would endure the consequences for a long time. It's true what they say, you reap what you sow. Meanwhile, we officially adopted Rare as our daughter. Jen and I continued to manage our restaurant and witness Rare's growth. Our business thrived, and while the extent of Rare's abilities remained unknown, one thing was certain. Jen and I loved Rare more than anyone else. After all,